Hi, my name is Olivia Zamuda. I'm 19 years old. I have an associate's degree in political science and I'm taking a gap year, but I intend to go back to school for my 4-year degree in political science as well with the hopes of pursuing law. Um, and I did mock trial for 3 years. I think my favorite part of mock trial was getting to argue and the competition. I'm a very argumentative person, and it gave me a way to channel that and to not just fight with people, but to really think things through and, what is it that I'm arguing for? What am I arguing against? And is there even a reason to it? Is it worth arguing about? Is it worth pursuing that? Or just forget about it, move on to something else. And competitions and scrimmages was a really great way to figure out the things in our case, exactly what was important and what wasn't. Because sometimes it would seem really important at first, and then it just wasn't. So I thought that competition was a really great way to tell that, and a really great way to really channel that argumentative energy that I have. I also really enjoyed getting to know the people in mock trial because I thought it was going to be one type of person who does mock trial, and there's so many different type of people who do mock trial. There's kids that I would have pegged as drama kids, there's debate kids, and then there's people who are doing sports in another season. And mock trial in of itself is basically a mental sport, so it makes sense. And it's really great to see all the different types of people that it attracts. And it's really funny because when you go to competition, someone might be kind of a jerk, and then you talk to them afterwards, and they're the nicest person ever. And so it's really nice to get to know people and to talk to them outside of a competitive area, but also to see the difference in people in a competitive area and then outside of it. So you kind of know what to expect, and you also kind of know how to act a little bit more and not give too many things away, because people do tend to jump on that. Mock trial had a really big impact on me. It helped me decide my career. Like I said, I want to go into law, and hopefully all my tests go well and everything, but I wouldn't have even considered law if I hadn't tried mock trial, because I was like, law, that looks really hard and it's probably not worth it. And then I got the opportunity to play an attorney for 2 years, and I found out, oh, this is something that I actually really enjoy doing. And again, it really spoke to the argumentative part of me. But even for people, there were plenty of people on the team who weren't argumentative, who were very much peacekeepers. And for them, they more played witnesses, and we actually had people who were more peacekeepers who played attorneys. And they used those strengths too, just as much, because they would talk with the victim witnesses or the people who were expected to act a little bit more fragile or just sensitive, so to speak. And they did a really great job with that. And they were always the people that, we want them to work with that person because they're going to look a lot better than the judge, rather than me, who's probably going to be a little bit meaner to them. But at the same time, it really cemented the fact that, law is something I want to do. And it also made me more sympathetic, because I did have to work with the sympathetic characters every now and then. And I had to learn to be a sympathetic person to that. I couldn't just, barrel on through and be really intense with certain people. With certain people, you have to be not laid back, but you have to be more relaxed in your approach. And that really helped me sympathize with others. And I think it helped me build empathy too, because we kind of had to put ourselves in the different witnesses' shoes to kind of decide how it would be best to either play that person or how it would be best to approach whoever might be playing that person. Because you might think one person is really sad, really depressed, and just kind of a loner, and another team might look at it and they're kind of a weirdo. They're going to be quirky and they're going to be fun. So you really have to kind of put yourself in all these different places, and so that really helped me to become a more sympathetic person and to really work with different people better. Mock trial also helped me become better with my poker face, I guess is a good way to put it. I very much wear my heart on my sleeve, and you can't do that during competition because it tends to lose you points if you're making faces like, oh, they said that? Doesn't look good. So it really helped me to compose myself and to hold myself better in a professional setting. Because once you walk into that courtroom, you either have an actual attorney or an actual judge who's judging you. And you can't be making faces, you can't be like whispering under your breath. None of that's okay. You have to act like a professional. And that really helped me because I'd never been in any sort of situation where I had to act like a professional, where I had to have courtroom attire and things like that. So it also helped me build a good wardrobe for professional things. And once I went on to get a job, I didn't have to go and buy a whole bunch of stuff because I had nice dress pants and things like that from mock trial. So it was kind of great. And it, like I said before, it also helps like with arguments and things. And not even just arguments, but persuasive writing and persuasive speeches in general. Because even if you're not arguing a point, the whole point of it is to persuade someone to your side. You want them to believe what you're saying. And I also learned that that's not just, manipulation, because that's kind of what I always thought of persuasiveness as, is it's, oh, you're manipulating someone. And it's like, no, there's so many other things. There's bringing out different details, and there's leaving other details out. And you don't necessarily have to manipulate people, you just have to manipulate the facts and bring out the facts that are best for your side. And I really enjoyed that because I was never good at persuasive speeches and things like that. As much as I like to argue, I wasn't very good at it. And mock trial really helped me with that, and it taught me how to do it properly, and I really appreciate that. I would recommend mock trial because I also saw people who weren't comfortable with public speaking, is a good way to put it. And I saw them really come out of their shell. And there was one girl who, she was amazing, but she just was very soft-spoken. And by the end of the season, she was still a soft-spoken person, but she was very confident. And even if she was a little quieter, that confidence rang through, and you still heard it. And she still had a really great presence in the room. And whereas for people like me who have like really big presence and sometimes need to learn to rein it in, it really helped me with that, with reining it in and with knowing what's an appropriate presence and an appropriate volume for my voice, because I tend to be louder. So I think it kind of teaches you to be the best version of yourself, because that's what you want to present during competition. And to be the best version of yourself, obviously you have to work on yourself. So it really does a lot of that too. And we before competition, we would have days where everyone would come in their competition clothing and get critiqued. And not in a mean way, not in a, well, that doesn't look good, but in a, that shirt probably isn't going to work because it's not very professional looking. You'll probably want like less patterns or something, or a more subdued pattern. Or you don't want shoes with a buckle because those are going to be making noise while you walk. So why don't you pick one that's not going to draw the attention away from you? And so it really teaches you to present yourself in the best light possible. And like I keep saying, it also really does help you with persuasiveness and with arguments and things like that, and putting together good ones. It also really helps with socialization, like I said before. When I homeschooled, I kind of didn't really hang out with many people, and that was a personal choice. I did co-ops and things, but it really forced me out of that circle. It really forced me to move out of my comfort zone in that case. And it's great because now I work a guest services job, so obviously I have to work with people, and I feel like mock trial really prepared me for that, and to work with all different sorts of people. So like the different applications of it, I kind of see now because I'm out of mock trial, but I'm hoping to be back in mock trial again, because the schools that I'm looking at I'm looking for schools with mock trial on the collegiate level, and that's actually, they use the federal rules, so it's kind of fun, different. and I really enjoyed it, and I really hope to keep doing it. And I would recommend it for anyone who's just really not sure with what they want to do. When I started mock trial my first year, I had no idea what it was. I just knew it had something to do with law, and I think about 2 weeks after I started, I was totally panicking. I was like, wow, this is so much work, so much more than I thought. And then about 2 weeks after that, I was like, okay, just buckle down and do it. And by my second year, I kind of had a great idea of how much work it was. And it was still a lot of work, but it's so worth it because there's so much that you get out of it personally. Like what I get out of it, someone else probably got something totally different out of it. Because like I said, it teaches you to be the best you that you can be. So for me, it was figuring out how to argue like an adult. For someone else, it might be breaking out of their shell. For someone else, it might be acting, because you do have to act like the witness. You're not you on the stand, you're someone else. So I think really what you can get out of it is so vast and so amazing, but you have to be willing to put the work in, because it is a lot of work. After scrimmages, we would go out to get dinner and we give each other notes, and sometimes the notes that we give each other are a little bit brutal, but they're never mean-spirited. It's always how you can get better. It was never, you did this wrong, so fix it. It was, this wasn't great, but here's something that you could do instead. And that was great, just the camaraderie and really kind of a little almost family unit that we became, and I really loved that. And it really teaches you to work hard, because there were some days where I had a deadline that I did not want to meet, and it felt like it just was not going to happen, but you have to meet it, because if you don't meet that deadline, then there's someone else on your team who's not going to meet their deadline, because it rolled downhill. So you had to have things done on time, and at the same time you had to have your schoolwork done on time, because you can't just let that go to the waste. So it really prepared me for school in that sense, because there were a lot of times in school where I was like, oh dang, I don't think I can do this in the amount of time given. And then I just thought, no, because if I could make that edit on that document in mock trial on time with like 2 hours left, I can definitely write this paper. So it kind of helps change your perspective on things like that too. So I would definitely recommend mock trial to pretty much anyone, because it has something for everyone. If you're not willing to put in the time and effort though to get something out of it, then that's the only time it wouldn't be worth it, because it's one of those, to get anything you have to give something. But I think that's part of what makes it so amazing. So I would definitely say, if you're not sure what you want to do, or if you want to do something that involves debate or acting and you don't want to do debate or acting, then I would say mock trial is definitely the answer. And it really is like a sport for your mind. Like, you think mock trial should be a sport. And yeah, so thank you so much for listening, and yeah.